Today we're going to go over how to sit in a go-kart properly. Most folks without training will just kind of sit in the go-kart naturally and let gravity in their hips pull them down into the front part of the seat, and they'll let the hips roll forward. And when you do that, the go-kart will feel cramped in the leg area, because when you do that, your legs naturally want to come forward as you roll your hips forward. The proper way to sit in the go-kart is to roll your hips back and create tension with your heels pushing strongly into the heel rest, and you're kind of pushing your butt hard into the back of the seat, like you're sticking your butt out in the air. If you do it correctly, after you drive for a day, you should have bruises in your lower back from where you've been tensioning your lower back into the seat. You'll notice that when you do that, you'll sit up a little more rigidly, more firmly, and higher perhaps in the top of the seat. You'll be able to work the go-kart to your liking if you want to employ that technique. And if you do it correctly as well, if you just sit lazily and you let your hips roll, you'll notice that in your crotch area here, there's no room between you and the seat. And if you do it correctly, if you're working the heels properly and your hips are rolled back, there'll be some room where you can actually, there's some float there between yourself, your crotch area, and the seat. One thing you'll notice that if you have your hips rolled forward and your legs out straight and you set the pedals there, versus where you would set the pedals if you're strong in the heel rest, you have the proper amount of bend like I showed in the kart in your knees, bend in your knees, and your hips are rolled back and you're holding good tension where your lower back contacts the seat, that distance to the pedals is going to feel about 1.5 inches or so shorter. So know that the pedal setup is going to be different. If you do bruise in your lower back, you can put a little thin strip of yoga mat there taped to the lower part of the seat, and that can help with that bruising. One thing I want to mention too is it's the advanced part of this technique is not only is this creating a really solid foundation for you to drive from, everything that's connected in that area is strong and planted, so you're not getting tossed around, and you can have a more solid core to drive from. But not only that, but when it comes to manipulating the kart over a curb, around a tight hairpin, around a long corner, around a corner with bumps, being able to plant your heels like that allows you to do different things with your body to manipulate the kart where you couldn't if you just sat in it. So the go-kart is like a spring. It's a chromoly steel tube, but it is springy, like we all know, and there's no shock to it. Most suspension has a spring component and a shock component. In a go-kart, there really isn't a shock. The human can be the shock absorber if you know how to work your body correctly. That's the tech tip for the day. We'll see you at the track.